Hi, everyone. It's Andrea Quagenti with tonight's self-directed education Zoom call. Angela wasn't feeling good, so she's not going to make it today. And right now it's me and Carissa. And we'll see if anyone else pops on, they can join. I'm sorry that I was not able to go live, but I will upload this conversation so people can reference it, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions. So Carissa was just telling me an awesome story, which is something similar that happened with my daughter too. Would you mind just telling it again?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So Andrea pointed to the posters that I have on the wall back here, and we don't really do any sort of formal lesson or anything, but I like to make them available. And this is my office. So my son will come in, he's 5, and he'll come in and kind of play quietly, usually, hopefully when I'm working. And the other night he was getting ready, we were in bed, we had just finished reading a book, and he was about to doze off, and he like popped up with a question about like, so if 1 10 is 10, it's 1 and a 0, and 2 10s is 20, 2 and a 0. He like was starting to just put it all together. And then he was like, what are 4 10s and 5 10s? And then he like sat up and he was like, let's go to the workroom, I want to see something. And he didn't tell me what it was, but we walked in and he went straight to, we have like a numbered chart to 100, and he started counting by 10s down the side. And so it was really kind of cute to just see it click, and especially because we don't do any like formal lessons or anything like that. So he's just figuring out his math.
Yay, and I was so excited. I think that's so awesome, because something similar happened with my daughter, and this is very common with unschooling and self-directed education, is that we try our best that when the child is ready for the lesson, we can give it at that point, and even if it is right before bed, when it's fresh in their mind, when they're excited about it, to come in with the support of the lesson right then and there. So if you can do that most of the time, great. Understandably, sometimes you can't. Sometimes I'm driving, and my sister, my daughter will have all these great ideas, and she'll want to start drilling down, but sometimes it's not. If I'm listening to the navigation, sometimes you have to just say, let's do this when we get home. But if you can catch the momentum, which it seems like you did, and most of the time it ends up not being a long lesson because they're already visualizing it and they just need a little bit of guidance.
Yeah, sorry, he's yelling in the background. Can you hear it? I can mute it if I need to. They're not yelling in a bad way, they're just playing loud. Yeah, I think it's great. And he it was one of those things where I was like, oh, it was like 10 o'clock. And it was one of those nights where it was taking forever to get him to go to sleep. But I was like, you know what? It was like the perfect moment to just cram full of it. And he, went back and went right to sleep. So I feel like sometimes I also just need to work through things,
Yeah, totally. And I think once they get that answer, and they can, especially if they can see it if they can, like a lot of children are visual, and once they see it, it clicks, and he will remember that forever, because that was what was fresh in his mind. So yay, that's, that sounds like a really good unschooling win. And I think that, do you kind of remember how you felt in that moment?
Oh yeah, just like, this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Some people might call it like in the zone.
Yeah, in the zone.
The momentum when you're. Yeah. So, but of course we have to be honest and realistic. It's not going to be like that all day, every day. But when you get those moments, it can carry you through for a while of just kind of fumbling, like, just living and seeing what interests them, and then watching it come together is, you could say magical or in the zone, but those are like the moments we live for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you guys have a topic that you usually kind of try to follow each week, or is it just pretty ad lib?
We've what has happened the past 2 weeks is something has just come up like the day before. The only thing that I wanted to maybe mention, if anybody was interested, is that I could talk a little bit about Worldschooling, because my daughter and I are about to go on a trip. Yeah, but if before we get into that, do you have some like general questions? And just so everyone knows, Carissa and I met at a local play date, so we're both in Massachusetts. And we have park days where it's so fun. I hope you had fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I've been wanting to go back. It's just the weather has been an issue.
Did Jack have fun too? Does he say like, oh, I wanna?
He did. I think that day was kind of right after the holidays. So a lot of people were away and some people were ill. So I think it was just one other family and you and your daughter that had come that day. So it was pretty quiet. And he did have fun playing with the other little boy that was like about a year older, but Jack's 5 and he is an only, and I tend to do work in the morning and then go do an outing with him. And so unfortunately, by the time we get somewhere, he wants one-on-one mama time. And so I have a harder time, like when I get him to the playground to play with other kids, because all he wants to do is play with me. So I do want to do more of those outings and need to make sure I can plan it. I'm strategizing in my head of trying to do like some one-on-one time before we get there, like some quality time at home, like making sure that I'm, doing that so that he feels a little bit more willing to venture into socializing with the others. But we did have a fun time that day because he loves playing chase and hide and seek and like tag. And so I was kind of doing that with him, and then we invited the other little boy to join in. So, and that was like the first time he actually accepted that. We've tried that in other playground situations, and he'll actually say, no, I just want to play with my mom. And I'm like, oh, come on. So it's like, why we're doing this? And they get so mad when I talk to the other parents. He's always like, stop talking. So it's like, we're working on it, but
yeah.
Pandemic has been affecting that. So it's been hard.
Yeah, we've been, we love the park days, but, there was times when my daughter, because she's an only child as well, would, kind of get a little clingy and, but once she started making friends, it was just so awesome. So we've been hanging out with homeschoolers for a couple of years now, since 2019, and we've made some great friends. And I think the play dates, we call them park days, is when just like a bunch of homeschoolers, and for us, some are unschooled, and you've probably noticed this, some are unschoolers, some are, in this group, we call unschooling and self-directed education. It's the same thing, basically child-led. There's no curriculum, there's no testing. We just trust and know that our child will develop as per they need to. They're on their own internal clock, which is perfect and beautiful. But there are some people in the homeschool world that also use a curriculum, and that works for some families. So when we do these park days, it's a combination of all different types of schooling. Some carry like a religious tone. Others are, it can be really eclectic. Some people end up, what I hear the most, to be quite honest, after being in the playgrounds for a couple of years now, is most families will buy a curriculum, and some actually spend a lot. And then as the school year, I hear of more families not sticking with it than do. But believe me, I do know families that have had the same curriculum for years, and it works for their family.
Can I ask a question, just because being new to this, with him only being 5, and he technically he wouldn't have been eligible for kindergarten this year because of where his birthday is. Once they are eligible for school and things like that, I know like in some areas, and I'm still learning, but like there needs to be some sort of documentation, or like, what do you, with an unschooling kind of program? I've just been, for my own, because I journal everything and kind of track everything. That's just the way I am. Like, I'll write down notes of like little epiphanies that come up and things that we've been doing. But like, how do you journal what, or, track what your daughter's been doing and what she's learning, or do you have to for the school system and that kind of stuff, or what?
So it's kind of like the mask thing. It's different for every state. At least it's not right, for every city. But yeah, So it's obviously, and we do have some viewers in different countries. So it's
Right,
different by country, it's different by state. Massachusetts is a pretty easy state when it comes to the paperwork. So in Massachusetts, in the year that the child turns 6,
Mhm.
which is usually similar to when they would start kindergarten.
Yeah.
But so in the year that they turn 6, so did he turn 5 and 20? Is he turning 6?
He turns 6 in November. In November.
Okay, so then in the beginning of, like, right around the beginning of the school year or over the summer, it doesn't matter what you're going to use for curriculum, or if you're going to use a curriculum at all. Basically, what's required in Massachusetts is that the parent notifies the local district.
Mhm.
So in your town or city, you write a letter to the superintendent, and it's really generic and it's very, very basic. Like, I am the mom of this child, date of birth, and I will be home educating my child. And then you choose one of two things. You choose to give work samples or just write a progress report.
Mhm.
So I will follow up with you at the end of the year. It's very simple, and it's really kind of standard. So when I started, when a lot of moms start, it's on the North Shore group, so you can get this from any of your local
Right.
states. Yeah, you can it's literally like a
Yeah.
copy and paste.
Yeah.
It's a 2-pager. One is just you saying like who you are, you're of sound mind, I think is the terminology.
Yeah.
And then the second page, you have to list the subjects that you will cover.
Okay.
And again, that's standard. And there's some other language that that the child will be learning for at least 990 hours. I think that's what it is in math. But basically, it's just standard. And from an unschooling perspective, I know that life consists of science, writing.
Right.
I mean, if you're just doing regular life, naturally, I
Right.
mean, look, math just popped in, and that was,
Yeah.
so from an unschooling or self-directed education, it's not, it's really just finding the format that's right for your state, sending it in. Usually they'll send you an approval or a notification, like, okay, we're aware that your child will be educated. We look forward to, I always just say, I don't do the work samples, although I do have, we turned our dining room into like a craft room / classroom. We don't do any formal lessons, but we do tons of just on the fly ad hoc lessons. And most of the time my daughter doesn't want me to teach anything. I just say, you teach me.
Right.
And then she takes the lead, and I'll just jump in. Like, I don't know, did you use the multiplication chart? Is that what's behind you, or is it just numbers?
It's just a number chart, like 100. It's like a chart from 1 to 100, so that you can easily see like the 10s and the 5s, and
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the next step, the multiplication chart is really awesome too, because then you see the patterns.
Yeah.
And when you see it big picture, depending on the child's learning style, like my daughter, it clicked. She was just like, this is awesome. And I was like, yeah, because I love math. And I was like, this is awesome. It was just nice that she could see the joy. Yeah. So then at the end of the school year, I write another 1-pager. Valentina did satisfactory. She needs improvement. What I do is I list all of the subjects again. And I write satisfactory, needs improvement, or above expectations.
Okay.
And that's a 1-letter. And what I have been doing now that I'm a couple years into it is when I do send the end of year review, I put the letter for the next year. So every year you basically send the same letter, but you would just change.
Update.
I don't even think you need to tell what grade they're in, but just that you are the educator. Some people will name both parents. Some people could put a grandparent in there. Really, whoever is going to be with the child, educating them however you wish. Yeah, so it's really easy. Some districts do what they call is overreach, which they'll try to get more information, curriculum, which by law you don't have to provide that. And if that happens, there's a legal organization that can help you, like Massachusetts I can give you the details.
Yeah, right.
What
I
is
think I've
it?
seen it on that North Shore group too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think most
It's an acronym, H something LA or something, H something, yeah.
AHEM, AHEM, Association for Massachusetts Homeschooler
Okay.
something education, but it's ahem.org, and they can help you. They can help you, but it should be simple and it should be accepted.
Yeah. So this could actually be a good segue into your next topic is, so we've actually, and I don't think I've been like, I need to go to another one of these meetups again so I can talk to Andrea. We are actually thinking about and playing with the idea and very likely going to be selling and potentially moving road schooling, RVing. If at the very least, depending on what we can get and when and the timing of everything, we may be spending a few months somewhere else and then have a home base here. But we're actually thinking of even just kind of picking up and not having roots. And so then I was like, well, when I'm guessing we would still then consider Massachusetts as our home base or domicile, and I'm assuming that I would still need to do that letter here, but it's like, I think it would get complicated because he's not going to have a home address that puts him in a district or anything like that. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting. So we're trying to work through all of those like little
I mean, it's actually it's a lot easier than I thought. We did Montessori just because I love child-led. It was private school, and that really was like a nice soft training for me. Just seeing, because at the time when she went to Montessori, she was 4, seeing these little kids for 3 hours manage themselves in the classroom. They could use the restroom when they wanted. They could move freely around the classroom. They could get their own snacks. They put out group snacks. They could pour their own water. If they spilled something, they went to go get the dustpan and cleaned it up. So that was awesome. So the reason why I didn't jump right personally, I didn't just jump right into homeschools, because I just thought like there's got to be, because I'm not trained as a teacher. I went to school for business. So I just thought that there would be these like rigorous examinations of my qualifications, but there's not. And it's also pretty easy for road schooling. So wherever you are in September-ish, or you could get the paperwork done in August, just get the paperwork done there with that town. And so it's where you are at that moment. So I love mindfulness. I love present moment. In that present moment where you are, if you do decide to travel full time, I have a great group for that, which I'm going to make a list if you see me writing, just so I can put these in for anyone else. But there's a great group on Facebook called Full-Time Families, and a lot of them travel full time. So basically what they do is they just choose a state to have a domicile. So where your mail can go, but your mail doesn't even there's services that will just send your mail to you. But you end up choosing a state because you need it for like your license plate. You need it for like a couple things, and homeschooling is one of them. So I think once you get on the road, you'll have to choose that. And for some reason, I think a lot of people pick Texas and Florida and Arizona.
I heard New Hampshire too. I actually just joined that group you mentioned like 3 nights ago. Stayed up all night.
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, I think it was Delaware and New Hampshire. Yeah, I've heard are like also good ones because of tax laws, and homeschooling is somebody I saw posted saying that they used to be in Mass, and then they did New Hampshire, and that New Hampshire is a little easier even than Mass. So yeah, and
Mass is pretty, I mean, it's easy. So it only gets easier and less taxes. I haven't looked into that specifically. Well, I've only browsed it, because what we realized when we started to travel, that we do enjoy having a home base. So that's just where we are right now, is we'd like to travel. Last year was the first year we bought our camper. So that was the first year we ever camped or RV'd, and we loved it. Thank God, because we invested, but you know, of course we could always sell if we didn't, but we did love it. And we ended up doing 3 months south and then about another month going north. So we ended up traveling for about 4 months out of the year, and that was awesome. That was a good balance. And then obviously we were home the other 8 months. That was a real good balance for us. So yeah.
That's great. Do you have family in the area? Is that
yeah. I'm like born and raised North Shore. I've always been very adventurous. Like I have a free spirit personality, so I've always traveled and explored. We haven't done a lot of things out of the country. My daughter's only been out of the US once. We would like to do more international travel.
Hi, Jack. Say hello. Do you remember Andrea? Do you remember meeting her at the playground?
Who is she?
This is Andrea.
Hi, Jack. How are you?
Andrea and Valentina also do World School and shoot. No. Sweetie Pie. Are you still there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. let me.
I want to throw it in a picture.
Yeah, no, you can't go to the picture. Here. So do you want to play with the rest of your training while I finish talking to Andrea? You can stay here.
Show her my treasure.
Well, they're recording for a whole group of people. But yeah, Jack made a train track right before.
I'm watching some more Scooby-Doo.
You want to go down and finish watching Scooby-Doo then? Or do you want to play with your train track?
I want to snuggle with Dada.
With Dada? He's downstairs.
I want one.
Oh, okay. Maybe he went. Maybe he's making dinner. Sorry. That usually happens if my husband.
Yeah, no, it's all accepted, and you know, this is based on families. And
oh yeah.
My daughter usually lets, you know, now that she's 8, she likes to have her free time. Usually my cat comes into these, so he might be coming by soon.
Yeah. No, we're getting excited about the concept, the idea, doing a lot of research right now, hoping to shoot for like even early spring and summer. My family is in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So maybe heading out that way for a month or two, or just, you know, for our first, but we do have John's dad is here and is older. And so we kind of need to be flexible and being able to kind of pop back if anything were to come up for the holidays and stuff like that. So we're working through all the planning and logistics of it and trying to see what we can do.
I mean, I think it depends on your personality type as well. Have you traveled a lot? Do you and your husband?
Yeah,
travel?
Well, so Jack had been on probably 27 flights before the age of 4. Mostly though with John's dad. He had a place in Florida, and then he also had like a timeshare in Bermuda. So we would spend a lot of time traveling with him because his dad is single and, you know, traveling solo, and we would kind of be his little entourage, I guess. But it was fun. And of course, and you know, it was nice to not have to pay for the lodging once we were there, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we, you know, and then the last year or so, 2 years, we haven't gone anywhere because of COVID. And my father-in-law has, my father-in-law's had some health issues. And so we, you know, had, you know, been kind of, but he's recovered from that. And so now we're kind of to a place where we actually moved so that we could accommodate him if something happened. And now he's kind of fine, and he's making his own plans for if something were to happen. So now we're kind of like, well, you know, we don't want to be sitting around here just waiting for him to have to move in with us, you know. And he has his own, he actually on a whim sold his house in Florida last January and bought a boat and took the boat up the coast with a captain. So like, I mean, there's definitely like this travel bug, you know, adventurous side in the family. So he's planning on living on his boat for the summer and doing his own thing. And he's got his own schedule with his own friends and, you know, going up to Maine and doing whatever. And quite honestly, with, you know, 2 dogs and a 5-year-old on a boat is a little bit restricting, especially a very active 5-year-old. But we could see, you know, meeting him up in Maine and, you know, that kind of stuff. So, and I haven't seen my family since 2019, 2018 even probably. So, just wanted to have a little bit more freedom. I, moved out here on a whim anyway, so yeah, we kind of have that adventurous, side as it is. So I think we'd all be in the right mindset to be doing something like this. So
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we love to travel, and there was a couple reasons that we moved from private school to homeschooling, and one of them was to travel. And when I started to look into RVing, I just realized that my travel budget could go so much further, because we were kind of, I guess, typical American vacationers. So we would fly to a resort and it would be beautiful and awesome, but maybe we would do 2 trips a year, maybe a weekend trip, and that was it for, the budget only took us that far. But when I started to think like, wow, if we homeschool, we could go away for months, we could even full time, and just, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of benefits for sure. Just being able to see so much. And I think the full-time families, that's the best group I've found. I've been lurking. Well, I lurked, but now I do call us world schoolers. And I just want to put that out there, that the term world schooling is something that originated with a couple families doing it, which I love the term. I love the world. I love nature. I love travel. I love being free. So we do consider ourselves world schoolers, but not all world schoolers travel full time. So right now we're just part-time travelers. As you know, when we're home, we hang out with homeschoolers and I don't know, hang out at parks for hours. Yes. But so some world schoolers travel full time and others just part time. We're in that part time. And then some world schoolers follow a curriculum. Some mom and dad are working online and the child is doing an online curriculum. But what I've seen is if you do go the curriculum route, most homeschoolers, so you would be registered. So there isn't a term, you wouldn't go to Massachusetts and check a box and say, self-directed, unschooling, world schooling, Montessori method. The bottom line is, just as the parent, you take responsibility. So what you call it is just kind of your fun self-expression, but none of that goes on the paperwork.
Okay, that's great. Those were like some of the little things that I'm like, I need to look into to figure out what we're gonna do. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, we were one of the things we were just even saying too is like right now Jack is so interested in where everybody is and physically, like he has cousins in Wisconsin and he has cousins in New York, and just how far away is Grammy's place in Vermont, and where's Granddad's place in Florida, and like just he's been very interested in how many miles, like he wants to know how many miles, and he's big into like numbers and measurement and like just trying to wrap his head around how far away things are. And it's like, and he's been very much into a lot of conversations about just the origin of things, and figuring out in his own mind, like, well, who was the first humans and who were the first animals, and like what were the first plants, and just how grasping the enormity, I guess, of the world and the universe and all of that, and just like he's interested in all of it right now. And I'm like, for just thinking like he's into it, and seeing like Niagara Falls or seeing the Grand Canyon right now would just be mind blowing for him, and he would appreciate it and I think absorb it all. Where like maybe if he's a teenager or a middle schooler and he's on his phone and we're like trying to force it and be like, oh, we're taking a trip to the Grand Canyon, let's check it out, he could, I can very much see him being, yeah, great, thanks. Like I just want to be able to jump on like whatever it is right now that he's interested in, and have him kind of help plan where to go and what to see and what he wants to do. So he's very interested in deserts. So, we've been talking about potentially Arizona, and, I have friends and family all around. So, we're just thinking he's been so interested in family and where cousins are. And so thinking we can kind of almost do a little bit of a family tree / geography / world life lessons. So
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's awesome, you know, and I think you're right. I think that is a great, great age. Some families travel with infants and, you know, some start at that kind of like school age. I think that is a great age because I think some teens do get the knack for travel, but some just don't want to, you know, some aren't into it. So, and I can tell you my daughter, so we bought an older used RV, and it doesn't have navigation. So she helps me nav on my phone, and she just does awesome. And
it's
just
a learning experience in itself.
exactly, yeah. And we I printed off some maps. I'd like to make it into like a little, not a workbook, but a little like a playbook, an action book. So she knows like how many states, because we've done the East Coast. We do want to go out west. We'd love to, you know, from where we are in the East Coast, like, you know, kind of make a box. We're probably not going to do that this year, but perhaps in future years, but or maybe later, but yeah. So it's super educational and it's super fun, and they get to use so many skills because now, so they're getting that math, like you said, geography. If you're visiting friends and family, just meeting people from other places is huge. Especially he might be a little bit young right now, but in a couple years, it'll click like, wait a minute, you know, my cousins are sitting in a class for 6 hours a day where they have to listen to a teacher, and I'm at the desert, I'm at Mount Rushmore, you know, it will click and they're like, oh my God, this is so
that they're learning about. Yeah.
yeah. And you know, for I think we should always honor our child, you know. I think I look at the family as a unit and everyone is an equal part, and, you know, come together. What do we love? What do we love doing? And if it's travel, I mean, there's so much to learn on the road. It's endless. And it also is big on social skills, especially when you're traveling. We did pretty well at resorts. You know, she would definitely meet kids at the pool. She's always been pretty social. She's like kind of shy, but then once she meets a kid, they're like best friends for the whole day. And I'm just kind of like, oh, let me get some pina coladas and, you know, chill out a little bit. But in a campground, it's almost that to the max. Have you stayed at campgrounds before?
We have not. I have growing up. I have growing up, but not as our family. And I don't know that my husband ever has. But yeah.
So I love the feel of a resort. You know, I do like that kind of relaxing vacation where everything is taken care of. Camping is not that.
Right.
It's not, you know, but that's okay because, you know, camping is just as great. But what I like even more camping is the campground feel, because you're out, you're in nature, you've got your own little piece of real estate, and the kids have a lot more full range. You know, they have a lot more range, and most of them just like sniff each other out, you know, and they're like, I think there's a kid in there, and then they end up hanging out, and it really builds social skills and probably intuition because they have to put their little kid radar on. But I see a lot of magic in campgrounds, and most of the families are a similar personality where they're kind of more laid back and nature oriented. And you know, if you do see some kids, you say we homeschool. Most of the time it's like, oh, we homeschool too, or you know. So I found the community in campgrounds a real benefit. Very comfortable, just kind of like a laid back. So I'm excited. I love the campground feel for sure. So that's something that my daughter both, you know, we really fell in love with. And then we did a homeschool, which we did a homeschool camping trip. So then we went camping with the North Shore homeschool group with friends that we already had. And that was like ridiculously amazing because the children, there was, geez, I don't know how many kids we ended up with, like 20 something, and they just ruled the whole campground, and they were climbing rocks and trees, and they were just playing. It just kind of like when I grew up, it was like we were outside from, you know, when it was nice out.
Yep, dusk to dawn, yep. Or dawn to dusk, I mean.
Yeah. And you're just out in nature, and all the parents kind of keep an eye out. So that was like, I would love to have a home base in a community setting. It wouldn't have to be necessarily a campground or a tiny home house, or even just a really great neighborhood where kids are, where there's a lot of free nature that they can
Mhm.
explore, and the parents can kind of collaborate. Yeah, but that's, so we're gonna leave this weekend. We're gonna go back down south.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're gonna do a couple stops in Florida. So I'm wondering where you used to visit in Florida.
So my father-in-law had a house near Fort Myers, and
Okay.
it was in Boca Grande, which
Okay.
is like its own little crazy little world, an island, and they all get around on golf carts, which is great if you have I think there actually is an RV park at the very, very tip of the island, but it's kind of cool. It's like they have, everybody rents a golf cart, and Jack was driving a golf cart at like 18 months old, like on John's lap, you know, and it was just my favorite little thing. But yeah, no, so that's where we were usually down there.
I love islands and I love golf carts. So last year we left at the beginning of February. That was our first ever camping trip. And what we started to realize, you know, maybe 5 campgrounds into it, I was like, we want one of these golf carts. And by the time we got to Disney, we stayed at Disney's campground at Fort Wilderness, which was super awesome. And everybody had golf carts and we didn't. And they were like, those booked like 6 months in advance. I was
Oh,
like,
gosh.
so we did finally get our hands on a golf cart. It was so awesome.
So fun. The other place so John's grandmother used to live part of the year in the warmer months. She used to live in Sea Island, Georgia. There's a lot of really beautiful, like Sea Island, Jekyll Island, that are those like little coastal,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to remember. So we always stayed, she was on Sea Island, and she started going there, and my father-in-law, you know, when he was a kid, used to go there, and it was kind of like a fun little, you know, resort town, and there was a little Jeep train that used to go up and down. And so they tell stories about like the barbecues and the cookouts they used to always have. And now it's a little bit more frou-frou. There's a St. Simon's Island is where we always stayed when we were visiting with his grandmother, because they were less expensive. We always had a dog in tow, you know, and so we would stay in like a little motel, like a hotel that had like an outdoor access. So we weren't like going through, you know, a lobby or anything like that when we needed to take the dog out. But yeah, so those little areas are amazing on the way down. Yeah, we have John's uncle is an aunt or in Aiken, Georgia. So we're thinking of like doing one of those kind of, like his sister is in Charlottesville, you know, kind of do like Charlottesville and then go down the coast and do, you know, because we haven't been to St. Simon's or Sea Island in a while. But while we were down there, we would kind of pop around to the other places. And we drove from Sea Island down to Florida and went through like the horse country, the Ocala.
Okay.
Really cool too, because I grew up riding, so it was just fun to kind of see some of the horse farms. And yeah, so there's just so much fun to like just be able to pop around and
Yeah, so I always say that like Florida has been like a second home to me. We took a couple trips when I was a kid, and then in college I worked at Disney. I did the college program, which was like an internship, and then I just kept going back. You know, I would do like Miami, West Palm. So I have family on both coasts. And now that we've been as world schoolers, we've got some homeschool friends and I've met some self-directed people from the group. So we love Florida. And of all the times that I visited, there's like more areas that I want to go to and check out. So I would say maybe in my 20s and 30s, I loved the East Coast. I loved like the action and the the clubs and the nightlife. And now as a parent, I'm kind of like in more of the West Coast vibe. Yeah.
Venice on that side is good too. I think it's called Venice, Venice Beach.
Yep.
Yeah, we would drive around. So when we would stay in Boca Grande, we could kind of go out and visit like different areas and drive around and explore too. So
Nice. You wouldn't take the golf cart to other towns.
No, take the car. Yeah. And my sister got married in Naples, and then I think we went. Is there like a Marco Island down there, or Marco?
Yeah.
So we kind of drove around a lot and just explored when we were down there for her wedding. And then, oh, you know what is super cute is Captiva. Is super
Yes,
cute. In Sanibel.
We did that. I had done that prior to getting into mindfulness. I was a financial planner. So I did a conference and I went out to Sanibel and Captiva in my 30s, loved it. And we did it in the camper, which I do love them both. There's only one campground.
Is there? I don't even know because we didn't camp, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't love the campground. It was a great experience, but that's all bikes. So we have a motor home. So we drive the motor home, which is awesome because I'm a single mom. So it's me, my 8-year-old, and our cat. And it was kind of magical. The RV we had looked into it. We went, and basically like the salespeople were like laughing at me because I had never camped. And I was like, hey, let's check out these campers. And I was probably asking the most 101 questions. And they either wanted to get me in a brand new $100,000+ or they were just like, we didn't have a great experience. Shopping for campers. So we just kind of put it to the side. And then what ended up happening is a friend of a friend last Christmas, so Christmas of 2020, just happened to have one for sale. It just happened to be a 28-foot motorhome. The price fit our budget. We had it saved. So that's what we bought, and everything went very smooth. It was very aligned. I felt like it was really synchronistic. So that's what we have. So when we get to a campground, we're either on foot, renting a car, Ubering, or in the case of Sanibel, we rented bikes, which we will eventually have our own bikes. My daughter's not, she likes to scoot. So we rode our bikes for the 10 days that we were there, it was really awesome, but it was a learning curve for us. And another great thing on Sanibel Island is a C school, which was super duper ridiculously awesome. They had classes. Your child could just go, you just bought them a la carte. So we bought a couple different classes, and she loved it. It was all hands-on nature learning. So they went and spotted dolphins, they went and spotted alligators. There was something on like mermaids. So it was just, yeah, that was a benefit. My daughter's asking me, what, honey? Okay. Do you want to come in here and say hi?
I had to shut the door too. It's just a little loud.
Yeah. Well, do you have any
Every time
other
Jack comes in, he leaves the door wide open. I'm like, no.
You could be on if you want. So this is Valentina. Say hi.
Hi, Valentina. How are you?
Hi. Her text message is coming up. We're just talking about, so we actually met Carissa and her son at Endicott Park a couple Wednesdays. So by the way, the Wednesdays have been getting, it depends on the weather, but these past couple Wednesdays, the weather has been pretty good. And like, we went yesterday, there was maybe like 8 or 10 families.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
And the same thing the Wednesday prior, and we went sledding. And it was awesome.
I saw your pictures for sledding. That was so fun.
Yeah.
I couldn't get Jack going for that, but we actually went on the golf course near us and went sledding on the same day, just like 3 hours later.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it's a timing thing. So if you or anyone else does want more information on the Wednesdays, let me know. I'm happy to hook anyone up. But there's just a couple more minutes. Do you have any other questions or,
Yeah, I think hearing about your experience is awesome. And I'm sad that we'll miss you on Wednesdays, but it'll be fun to hear about your adventures. Do you guys have like a blog, or do you do just Facebook posts, or what do you usually do?
we do Facebook. So I do invite people to just follow me, last year when we bought the RV, people kept asking how they could follow. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna make my profile kind of public. So I do post on mine, but we also have a YouTube channel. And I'll share that. I'll put it in the link, but we just renamed it because it was Andrea Q. I used to share things about work, which was meditation and mindfulness and spirituality, but now we changed the name to
Aqua Rose Life.
To Aqua Rose Life. So Aqua's my nickname. Valentina's middle name is Rose, and then it's a lifestyle blog.
Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, we were just saying last night, we were talking about it. I'm like, oh, we should start a family blog. Jack loves doing it was like during a storm and we were at Singing Beach and he kept doing like weatherman news reports, taking clips. I'm like, oh, I think we could do this in almost every destination. He was like, look at these waves, folks. Like that kind of stuff. So
we joke around.
Family blog.
We joke, and that's awesome because if you have family all over, it'll be so fun for them to see. We joke around about announcer voice, but when Valentina was younger, she just loved YouTube. So every time I was taking a picture or doing a video, she would say, mommy YouTube, mommy YouTube. And then, finally I was like, okay, we'll be on YouTube. That's what we'll do.
Great. Awesome.
Hi, Gail. How's it going?
So sorry, I got totally wrapped up with a bunch of things, and you know how it goes.
Yeah, we're just kind of wrapping up. We are on record, just so you know. I have not been able to go live just yet, so we're just recording, and then I'm going to upload it the same way. We're just kind of wrapping up, but if there's any if you have any announcements or anything that you want to talk about.
No, it's just so there's such a need in the community now. I'm with the Ontario Federation of Teaching Parents here in Canada, and we're getting more calls. We have an 800 number for Homeschooling Hotline, or homeschooling involving all alternative education, and the hotline is just getting 5 to 10 calls a day with new parents or parents who are newly thinking about homeschooling and wanting to know everything. And of course there's that transition time. What I've noticed over the last 30 years is people start by homeschooling, and then after about 2 or 3 years it kind of evolves into unschooling and self-directed. the natural transition.
Yeah, Carissa and I were just saying that what I've noticed, we've been in the homeschool world for a couple of years, is it seems the first couple of years I notice a lot of families will invest in a big curriculum, and then kind of slowly they end up following a more eclectic or unschooling style.
Yeah, it's but it's keeping me busy out of trouble.
So is the 800 number, because I think you did post it in the group, is that just a free service in Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just taking some notes and I'll put it in the
yeah, and it's not, I mean, right now I'm the one returning the calls.
Okay.
But we do have other volunteers, so if it gets too much, but yeah, I mean, I can direct people to places near them, or because I have the access to find different resources for people and direct them to where they need to go if they're calling from outside of our area, which is fine.
Awesome. Well, that is it like a
Yeah.
nonprofit organization? Is that the way it's done? Or-
It's an association. I mean,
Okay.
here in Canada, it's just a like-minded association. And yeah, so we have memberships, and that covers the phone bill. So, and it's only like $95 a month. So, yeah. Hi.
Yes, my daughter's in front of us. All right, well, feel free to share more on the group.
Yeah.
It's great to meet you both in person.
You know, Andrea, have you attended, I don't think I've seen you on any of the Sunday noon AERO chats.
I have not been on the Sunday. No, definitely send me the info.
I will, but actually it's easier if you register for the newsletter, and the link is in the newsletter every week.
Okay.
So it's alternativeeducation.org.
Okay.
And
writing
you
it.
just sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get the link every week. And it's so great to, you know, be able to chat with so many people who are like-minded and share what works, what doesn't, the issues, how we deal with them. Also, are you going to be on the Pat Ferenga call? The Zoom with Pat Ferenga next month? Or not next month, what am I saying? It's like in 2 days. I think it's Saturday, I'm not sure. Monica Cochran is doing it. Let me just find the information. Monica Cochran. Okay, and messages, not her page, messages. Oh. Sorry, my wasn't.
Yeah, while you're looking at that, so right now, I'm involved with 2 different organizations, which this is the main one is this group that a few of us created a couple years ago, which is dedicated to the unschooling self-directed child-led philosophy. So we're going to keep doing these Thursday calls, so feel free to jump on another one.
Excellent, excellent.
And you can send anyone if you do by chance get people you know, interested in this particular philosophy, send them on in. Because
Yeah.
even if they can't jump on, they can jump on live, or they can also just, you know, just view. We'll always upload the conversation. And then the other organization that I'm involved with is the Association for Self-Directed Education.
Yeah, I'm a member of that too.
Yeah, which is like the Peter Gray, his nonprofit. And so once a month I do calls with them.
Oh, I didn't know they did I haven't been keeping up with it. I've just been so swamped. And it takes time to, you know, help people wrap their brains around it.
Yes, well, there's actually a chat going on right now in the group about deschooling. So that's, it's a big step. It's probably the biggest step is for us parents. And it took me a while too. I kind of went through my deconditioning phase in private Montessori school, you know, was what finally got me to embrace the style. Yeah, but deschooling is huge. And there's a couple people talking about offering that type of service in the self-directed group. There's a post on that. Geez, yeah, I mean, I think that's really where the work is. That's where the work is. That's the healing. That's really where you can transform from someone who was educated in a traditional, I want to say militant, because I mean, if you,
I use the term conventional or industrial school.
Okay, I
or
usually say
industrial system.
traditional, but that we're talking
Yeah,
about.
but traditional is really the natural learning, right? So I try not to use traditional for the conventional schools, the industrial school systems, because, you know, if we're saying traditional, if we really mean traditional, then that's natural learning.
Good point. You're right. That's, you know, yeah, I completely agree. Thank you for giving me those terms. You said
No
conventional and you also said
Conventional and industrial.
industrial. Awesome.
And
I love that
yeah.
clarity.
And there's a bunch of others that I'm trying to, you know, veer away from what we're not doing, like the D's and the uns, trying to get to a more positive instead of a negative word, right? This, I don't want to be
Yes.
telling people what I'm not doing. I want to be able to tell people what I am doing. So
I agree. Like
deschooling is, you know, I love, like, the term is actual, right? It is deschooling, but what you said was absolutely correct. It's deconditioning. And if there's a better way to say that, and there is, and I've heard it, and I can't think of it right now, but yeah, there's the link to the personal growth meets alternative education discussion with Pat Ferenga,
sweet.
and that's on Saturday at 1.
Awesome. All right, I'm
So,
gonna copy it.
yeah.
So I will, this is being recorded. I'll upload this, and then if you do come up with other links, it seems like you have, thank you, you know, put them all in and
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, let's share resources. I'm glad to
Of
finally
course.
meet you.
And I want to see you on Sunday at 12. I'll send you the link.
Well, yeah,
The
you can
newsletter
do-
comes out on Saturday.
Well,
The
we're
newsletter-
actually we're traveling. We're starting a
Oh.
world school trip, so
Nice.
I'm literally going to be on the road driving down the East Coast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to drive all day Saturday and Sunday, and then
Right.
we've got some free time. So maybe next
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll check it
Put it
out.
in your calendar.
Okay. It's nice to have people to talk to, because this has been, I mean, I still do love the spirituality. That's kind of my work, my practice, my lifestyle. That's kind of my core, you know, and I keep up to date with that. But I feel like my expression, my art, how I implement being a spiritual person is by living this freedom-based lifestyle and allow, you know, trusting my child to grow naturally. So
That's
I feel
right.
like it's kind of, I know a lot of people are doing it, but this is kind of like my gift, my art. We just love it. And I love sharing. When I first found out about this was 9 years ago, and I couldn't find a lot of organizations. It's developed a lot in the past decade. So
well, they've been around. They're just really hard to find. I mean, easier now because of the internet.
right.
But you know, the AERO's been around for 40, 50 years, and they've always been, you know, self-directed everything. It's the terminology advances to as new generations take the lead, right?
Yes. And
I mean, I'm a 30-year veteran of this.
Thank you.
And now my grandchildren, you know, are the ones I'm helping. So my children and my grandchildren. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you. You know, and you know, continue to share. And if
Have you been on Clubhouse yet at all?
No.
Okay, so a lot of conversations, a lot are happening there. So you should really download the app for Clubhouse.
Okay.
And if I have, give me your I don't want this to be in the public realm, but if you can message me on Facebook your phone number, your cell number,
Okay.
because that's what you would use your profile, using your profile for a Clubhouse, then I'll be able to put your phone number in my contacts, and it will see that one of my contacts has joined, and I'll find you.
Okay,
Because
yeah,
the conversations there are phenomenal.
good to know. Awesome. Yeah, we'll kind of, obviously for phone numbers and stuff, we'll do that
Yeah.
privately.
Privately.
All
Mhm.
right, well, I've got to end, but
I will let
so
you
nice
take.
to meet you.
Thank you so much. Sorry for being late.
That's okay. And more great conversations to be had. And I love what you're talking about, the terminology. Maybe we could brainstorm, because I kind of want to rename. I mean, I do like self-directed education, but I think we
Yeah.
could get something even funner than, like
Yeah.
you said. So we'll talk about that more another time. I hope.
Perfect.
Yay.
Okay. Take care.
All right. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.